This is Rockslapping Champions. Player 1, playing Karax. We have Mecha. And player 2, playing Dehaka. We have J-Gamer. So let's start off by having a look at the masteries. We have 3 points into the unit cost reduction mastery for Karax, as opposed to the structure HP mastery. So it means that we're expecting a unit-centric build here for Karax. Same here for the repair beam versus the chrono wave energy regeneration mastery. It usually means that Karax will be relying on his units and more tankiness of his units rather than the Spear of Adun abilities here. And then we have the initial Spear of Adun energy as well. So this one will allow Karax to do the fast expand that he has just done and improve his economy. Dehaka, on the other hand, is actually a non-mastery commander, so he is still below level 15, so he doesn't have any of his mastery points yet. So we can see we have begun Rockslapping Champions by having a look at this wonderful beast of a lizard right here, named Dehaka, as he continues slapping the rocks back and forth with his healing aura. I believe he has his healing aura over here. So, yeah, there we go. We are off to a fantastic start to Rockslapping Champions. The one reason why I do want to cast this video is because this replay was submitted to me, and apparently the submitter also said that they were also a Rockslapping champion in that play. So it just goes to show you that Karax and Dehaka can double team up and do really, really well. And now Dehaka has a Zergling to help him clear his expansion as they wait for the first attack wave to spawn, which has started to spawn right now. So let's have a look and see how the players are going to go ahead and deal with this attack wave. So far, Karax only has a Forge out, so he does not have any cannons to def. Defing is definitely a good idea here, and now we have a bunch of lings that are coming in. And unfortunately, they do split up over here, and now they are going to start working away on the expansion, on the main bases here. So Karax has managed to clean up his base pretty much with the Spear of Adun, but on this side, Zerglings are dealing a lot of damage to the Primal Hive. Karax is starting to work away on this, but that Primal Hive goes down, and now these drones are like, they turn around and they're like, what happened? Where was this big building behind us? I was busy looking at the mineral line here, and the mineral line is gone. So yeah, that is relatively unfortunate, but Dehaka decides to put down his next Primal Hive, and he'll be good to go. Dehaka still admiring the Vespene Geyser, but now he decides to take his army of Zerglings and move towards the enemy base. And yeah, but overall, relatively okay. Karax has put down one cannon here, and he'll be using that cannon to clean up the Vespene Geyser, so you can actually take those. And production-wise, everything seems okay. Dehaka is a little bit on the back foot at the moment. Was not interested in protecting his expansion. He was busy slapping those rocks over there. And now we have another attack wave that will be coming up here, and the attack wave will be coming down the ramp, and now there are a bunch of lings on this side. Dehaka uses the roar ability to slow these things down, and Karax rains hell from above and helps Dehaka clear out a large number of these Zerglings. There are a few Zerglings left, but Dehaka is able to slap those down, and he is good to go. Dehaka is ready now to go ahead and push into this next side. I do not believe he has the Eat ability, which is very... Okay, there we go. So he does have the Eat ability. Decides to eat the Mulelisk and burn the Zergling that is there. Now he's going to start pushing in on this side as well. Lures some of the units over, lures some of the units back. Eats the Aberration, which is a good idea. Unfortunately, the Aberration was at full HP, which means he has a very, very long Devour cooldown right now. He won't be able to do anything for a while before he can start eating again. But he does have his healing aura, so that should keep him safe for a while. And yeah, there is one mule that is harassing there, and Dehaka is just taking it like a boss. Like, you know what? There we go. Ends up eating the mulelisks now. The first set of shuttles have spawned, and they will make their way towards the central warp conduit. Dehaka decides to just look at that warp conduit for now. And production-wise, he is just making drones right now. He still has not taken his expansion on this side. And his main base is he is mining right now, so it was a minor problem before. And yeah. Karax, on the other hand, seems to be okay. He's taking up. He's getting an immortal out. This composition is Invasionary Swarm, which means we're dealing with a ground composition here. This is, I believe, the classic ground composition. One of the new enemy compositions that were added in Co-op, I think sometime around June or July, I cannot really remember. And now we have the Ultra Def from Karax, and now he's putting in a lot of cannons over here. There is a Devour onto the Hybrid, Dehaka. Okay, the Hybrid, and then the Spirit of Doom will come up to start weakening the enemy forces on this side. And Dehaka ends up going down to the enemy units that are there. I gotta like fix this as well. And now there were a few attacks on this side, which Karax has been able to deal with. And there is another attack wave now that will be coming up here. There are a few lings over there, but I think not really too much of a problem. Spirit of Doom abilities will be able to deal with that. I have toggled this thing over from Karax's point of view to Dehaka's point of view, so that we do not actually have to get this mini-map back up and running, because that is a glitch with the observer interface when the Spirit of Doom Solar Lens gets triggered. So right now we have one immortal that's ready, and there is now the next set of shuttles that that'll be making their way towards the right-hand warp conduit with a bunch of Hydralisks here for Dehaka. Dehaka is still in his nest, so and a bunch of probes are sitting there, and they seem to be admiring this Primal Hive here. I'm not really sure why that is the case, but Dehaka does end up coming out here. And still a few units here, but Dehaka uses his Greater Primal Wound to end up cleaning that up. And as soon as the ship will land, the next harass wave and the next attack wave will start to spawn. So we'll see how the commanders are going to go ahead and deal with this. A bunch of immortals here, lots of orbital strikes onto this, and essentially this attack wave gets handled here. There's a purifier beam that gets dropped, but unfortunately that immortal gets got out by a bunch of zerglings. And now there are just a few more hybrids, but the hybrids not going to stand a chance against the 3 immortals that are there on this side. There are no more zerglings to deal a lot of damage to these immortals and waste a barrier. And now the Hydralisks get bathed into this small enemy camp here, getting wiped. Karax, on the other hand, decides to wrap around this enemy camp because it has not been cleared, but he's gonna have to hurry up a little bit because the shuttles are very, very close to the warp conduit. And now there we go. So Glevic gets dropped over here. A bunch of solar lances get dropped as well, dealing a lot of damage to these shuttles, and the shuttles get wiped. But now there is another attack wave that is coming up and making its way over here. Dehaka has been wiped again and is still in his nest, but now we have a large number of lings and Hydralisks and a bunch of hybrid as well. Hybrid decides to aggro these immortals, and one of the cannons do end up going down as a result of that. And yeah, I think that'll pretty much be it. I think there are a few cannons that were lost there in the process. So far, Dehaka has gone down twice, and Karax has lost 2 of his cannons and 1 of his immortals on this side. So Glevic does get deep tunneled across here just to try and get a little bit more value. That is actually a good play here from Dehaka's part. But Dehaka is still on the back foot, and now we have a Colossus added to the mix. Colossus will provide a little bit of splash damage in dealing with the attack waves, but Karax will need to have a little bit more anti-air. He already has his Shadow Cannon upgrade, which is useful. I'm not really much of a fan of Shadow Cannon. I used to like it, but I find the Shadow Cannon is very, very useful when you're dealing with single target DPS, rather than if you have something like shuttles, and especially not dealing with air units. I know some people like to use a Shadow Cannon to deal with air units, but I find it a little bit finicky. I'd rather use my Spirit of Doom to deal with air units. It just simplifies the whole process. But Karax decides to push into the small enemy camp here. One of these immortals are getting focus fired down by the Mutalisks, but I think it may just survive. Colossus also gets a parasitic bomb from the Viper over there, and yeah, more or less very close for Karax to lose some of his units here, but he does end up surviving. And now Dehaka with his army of Mutalisks are ready, and Hydralisks too. I'm not sure why he is not morphing these guys into Mutalisk. He does have enough gas, but his expansion, yeah, he's saturated his base right now, so it should be okay for the most part. But yeah, we want to see some of these Hydralisks turn into Mulisks here. He is getting the rest of his upgrades. He's getting the armor upgrades as well, which is a little bit less effective than the attack upgrades. But for the most part, should be okay. Dehaka now is ready, drops a Greater Primal Worm down, and Karax decides to engage this air army with his ground army over here. There are a few Hydralisks on the back line, but Karax is okay. He has his Shadow. He has targeted his Shadow Cannon onto these shuttles, and then uses the Spear Fadoon to clear up the whatever is left over. And now his Robo army is strong and good to go. But he decides to push up this ramp, and there are a large number of Ultralisk over here. The Colossus gets yoinked, and the Colossus does not get microed back, so it just ends up getting picked off. And that is somewhat unfortunate for Karax, because he has now lost his one Colossus, which was providing him with a little bit of damage output. Karax is also I have also realized Karax is floating 30,000 minerals, which is somewhat amusing. But Karax seems to be hell-bent on trying to push into this enemy camp, which he eventually does, and he ends up clearing out that side. There are a few enemy defenders on this side, but they'll get cleaned up as well very quickly with Karax's army. On the other hand, Dehaka is on this side, and he just wants to clean up this small set of defenders on here. And this is basically the whole front side of the map cleared, unless you want to push into the enemy bases. This is pretty much it. The next set of shuttles have been spawned, and they are going to make their way towards central and the left-hand warp conduit. And now we have a bunch of Hydralisks over here, and Dehaka is ready and in position to defend this this research vessel. And we have a bunch of Mulisks that have aggroed some of these Corruptors over here. And now we have the attack wave that has come up. Aggro's the Hydralisks. Hydralisks are just going to make short work with these Zerglings. Dehaka just runs back and forth, not sure what he wants to kill. Eventually jumps through and ends up cleaning up this wave over here. And now the two shuttles are still making their way, and we have Karax that is working his way over here with the attack wave that has spawned up on this side. So he uses a few Shadow Cannons over here. He'll be able to clean up this shuttle wave here. And now we have an attack wave that will be joining up with this shuttle wave, and now there are a bunch of lurkers and Hydralisks, and these cannons are not going to stand a chance against the onslaught that they are going to be facing. Two Greater Primal Worms get put down here. One of them instantly gets picked up by the Hybrid Dominators, and this other one is going to not even stand a chance over here. A large number of orbital strikes get dropped and ends up wiping out these shuttles. Unfortunately, there is also an attack wave that is making its way here. There's a Hybrid Dominator that ends up catching out these Hydralisks that are being rallied across, but Karax's army joins in and ends up cleaning up that Dominator and that last Dominator as well. Overall losses, Karax has only lost the 5 gallons he has put on the front line over here, still floating 3,700 minerals, but Dehaka has ended up losing a lot of units over here because he's starting to push into this side. He wants to push into this enemy base, which is not really too bad of an idea, but Dehaka does end up getting picked off, leaving his army to fend for themselves, and Hydralisks are not very strong, even though they are backed up by Mervar. Not very useful without some of the upgrades that are necessary to make Mervar useful. So over here, this Broodlord is dealing a lot of damage because Mervar doesn't have the Aerial Burst Sacks upgrade. So unfortunately, Mervar not as effective as she could be. But now there is a triple shuttle wave that's coming up over here. And this one is probably one of the scarier ones because there's going to be a large attack wave that will be dropping on this side. Again, Dehaka does not have a lot of army units here to defend against this attack wave, because this attack wave is fairly nasty. But there we go. This is the attack wave dropping right now, and the attack wave is going to make very short work of these Mulisks over here. These Mulisks just get completely obliterated because they do not even have the regeneration upgrade, which allows them to respawn when they get killed off. And now Karax's army is going to get somewhat caught out with this, and there's a Purifier beam that ends up getting dropped onto these shuttles. Which is okay, but there is an attack wave that has to be dealt with, and there is nothing here to deal with this attack wave. There's Dehaka over here, ends up eating the Hybrid Dominator, which is usually not a good idea, but in that scenario, it was actually very useful. But now there is a Storm that gets dropped, ending up picking off one of the extra Colossi that Karax has. So far, Karax and Dehaka are having a very interesting time in this mission. So, for Karax, if you do want to, deal with an anti-air, I tend to build a few Mirages and then some carriers to help with the with this comp. So just complementing it with a few carriers and mirages helps a lot for Karax's army. Over here, Dehaka does have a decent mix. Like, he has a decent idea of what he wants to do, having these Mutalisks out. But unfortunately, his resources are constantly being lost because he keeps throwing his army away. So he's lost a total of 35 Hydralisks and 11 Mutalisks, which kind of stings. He also doesn't have his attack upgrades, and the other issue is he doesn't have the respawn upgrade for his Mutalisks. These probes are also still sitting over here, which is kind of amusing. I don't think Karax has realized that these probes are just sitting there doing nothing. Also, a bunch of pylons have been put here. I'm not sure why. Okay, now Karax has realized, okay, these probes need to be moved out of the way, and I think he wants to try and put down some cannons. Now there's an attack wave over here. The attack wave gets completely melted. Oh, that was a harass wave. That harass wave gets completely melted by Karax's army. But now there is a very, very large attack wave that's coming up. Unfortunately, Karax's army is very busy dealing with these shuttles, and now the rest of the attack wave decides to back up and go ahead and try and harass Karax's army. But Karax's Purifier Beam and Solar Lances dealing a lot of damage to the attack wave. He's cleaning up pretty much a large chunk of it over there. No, there are a total of 5 Colossi have been lost. I'm not really sure where those things were lost, but yeah, Karax still flowing a lot of minerals. He should be putting down a lot of cannons over here, but I don't see what the plan is for Karax. He does have 3 of his gateways over here. There's an extra Nexus as well that's put down. Is that for the Chrono Boost? Yeah, those 3 Nexuses are for the 3 Chrono Boosts on this side. And just now we have a Doctrine Zone that's being completed as well. I am so confused right now. I have absolutely no idea what's going on here. I think this is the last set of shuttles as well. And Karax has 2 Colossi and 21 Immortals to go ahead and deal with these shuttles. So he does have 200 energy on the Spear of Verdun, so that should provide him with a little bit of extra damage output. But Dehaka's army is nowhere. Okay, Dehaka doesn't really have that many units. He has 7 Mutalisks and 12 Hydralisks, which is nowhere near enough to deal with this. I'm actually also not sure where Dehaka's minerals are going, or his gas is going. He always seems to be really short on gas. I think part of it is because he was losing his army very frequently. So again, Karax is gonna go ahead and deal with this, and now we have a large attack with this coming up, and down goes one of the Colossi over here. There is a Solar Lance that gets to drop, but again, there are lots of Hybrid Dominators on this side. The Hybrid Dominators do get focus fired down. They cleaned up on here. There are 2 shuttles here. It's cleared up by Karax, and now we have another set of shuttles here. Again, lots of Broodlords dealing a lot of damage here, but there is a Shadow Cannon onto these Broodlords that ends up cleaning them up. But again, Karax is having a very hard time dealing with that. He's lost, I think, all his Colossi, and now these hybrids are just going to be raining absolute havoc onto Karax's army. But Karax snipes the shuttles with his orbital strikes, leaving just another Colossus over here gets picked up. And now we have one last set of shuttles. That shuttle also gets cleaned up by Karax's orbital strike. And there you go. This is a double Rockslapping Champion combo. But all the shuttles have been cleared. That is GG.